The next artist, Prabal Gupta, is curator of this festival, who also conceived of its theme, and is known for his specialization in the women's roles from Kathakali Dance Theatre of Kerala, known therefore as Strivesham, dressed as a woman. He rounds up today's presentation with first a depiction of Bhayanaka of fear, followed by Shanta, tranquility. He begins with an excerpt from Lady Macbeth, a Kathakali adaptation of William Shakespeare's Macbeth, penned in Sanskrit by Sri Shankar Rajaraman and choreographed by the performer. Her husband's, Macbeth's, murders have begun to weigh heavily upon Lady Macbeth's mind and allow her no rest, even in her sleep. Her conscience has become a source of torment to her, and she's scared, even of darkness. The famous sleepwalking scene from this Shakespearean classic, which Prabal Gupta will present, shows the mental collapse of Lady Macbeth out of fear. Ultimately, surrendering herself to death, she evokes Shanta Rasa, or a state of tranquility. The rag is Madhyamavati, the tala Chimpara. Prabal Gupta in both Bhayanaka and Shanta.
Our production concludes with Lady Macbeth sleepwalking and her talking to herself. We learn that Lady Macbeth is feeling mentally so disturbed post Duncan's murder as to have been walking in her sleep during the night. This scene shows that Lady Macbeth is after all a woman with all the weakness of a woman. The murders have begun to weigh heavily upon her mind and allow her no rest even in her sleep. Her conscience has become a source of torment to her, and she is afraid of darkness. The woman who had said that a little water would clear her and her husband of the deed of murder now says, "What, will these hands never be clean? And all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand." She also says in the course of her sleepwalking that nobody could have imagined that the old man Duncan had so much blood in him. In short, this scene shows the mental collapse of Lady Macbeth and demonstrates that evil has in it the seeds of self-destruction.
Namaste, it's me again, and it is my pleasure now to introduce Leena Sukumar, who will be discussing Shri Prabal Gupta ji's art form after his amazing performance. Leena Sukumar is a New York City-based accomplished marketing executive, a passionate Bharatanatyam dancer and watercolor artist who obsessively follows art and culture, especially in the context of the international Indian diaspora. So Leena ji, all yours.
Hi, Prabal. It was
Hi,
amazing.
Leena.
It was amazing to see your performance again, and I've had the opportunity of seeing you perform live a few times. So it's my pleasure to view this virtual performance, as it were, again. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I was going to ask a few questions of you based on the performance that you just shared with us. Kathakali is an Indian classical dance drama which pivots around epic mythologies of the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Bhagavad Purana. So
Right.
I have seen traditional forms of Kathakali as well, but yours stands out as something which is pushing the boundaries of traditional. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how was your production created in terms of planning, script writing, music composition, and choreography, and what made you really think beyond these traditional boundaries? So it's a two-part.
Well, yes. Well, when you're a traditional Indian classical dancer, you always do traditional. But believe me, when I was doing my post-graduation with English from the University of Calcutta, I always had it in mind to do Macbeth. I mean, not only Macbeth, to convert the Shakespearean stories in Kathakali. Little that I knew that my guru, Sri Sadhanam Balakrishnan ji, had already worked in Othello. When I moved under Guru Sadhanam Balakrishnan ji way back in 2010, I expressed my desire, and he said I was not at that correct time to work on it. So I waited for the right time, and in 2014, I approached him again if I can work on Bard's creativities. And I had already in my mind about Macbeth, and being a three-version specialist, I told him that I would like to work on the character of Lady Macbeth, because Lady Macbeth is the character on which the entire story of Macbeth pivots. I approached Mr. Shankar Rajaraman, who is based in Bangalore, to write the lyrics in Sanskrit, because I felt Sanskrit is the root of Malayalam, and I wanted to make it universal, just not giving it to Malayalam. And again, the traditional Artakathas, or the stories that are performed in Kathakali, are all in Mani Pravalam, which is the Sanskritized Malayalam. So I felt that why not in Sanskrit, and hence requested Dr. Shankar Rajaraman to write the lyrics in Sanskrit. He wrote very beautifully, very lyrical. Then I approached my Guruji, Guru Sadhanam Balakrishnan ji, to work on it, and we sat together. We decided on the ragas specific to scenes and the mood of Lady Macbeth, and then approached Sadhanam Shivadas, who has composed the music, and he beautifully composed the music. Now, being a three-version specialist, I always wanted, and being a hardcore traditional person, I wanted to keep it within the traditional boundary, yet pushing the boundaries forward. Now, pushing the boundaries forward means taking a step ahead and creating a new repertoire for three-version. Because I always wanted to, because being a three-version specialist, I always wanted to create new repertoire and enhance the three-version repertoire of Kathakali. Rather, I would call it as eulogizing the three-version aspect of Kathakali, and thus the entire production was choreographed based on the traditional three-version genre, and with kalashans as prevalent in three-version, using certain kalashans which are Purusareshan oriented, but I used that especially when she was forcing Macbeth to kill the King Duncan. But over here, in order to show the rasa, that is Bhayanaka, and the Shanta, which is the tranquility, I've used the last scene of Lady Macbeth, that is the sleepwalking scene. Because that's the scene when she's extremely scared, she's finding blood in her hand, she's seeing Duncan, and she feels that how much that poor man had so much of blood in him, and she's extremely scared. She's trying to remove the blood from her hands, but every time she removes it, she washes with water. She tries to clear out with cloth or with her dress. The blood comes back, and looking at that, she ultimately succumbs to death, which is tranquility or Shanta.
Well, thank you for that moving explanation. It's very evident in terms of your passion as well as energy and what you brought with that performance. I am I'm also curious to understand. So it's a delicate balance or a dance between conveying something that's traditional and non-traditional as well.
Right.
I'm curious to know how you were able to overcome some of the challenges that came across your way as you were putting this together. And I think the audience would really benefit from understanding that as well.
Yes. Now, it's a very, very good question, Lena, because I was being asked when I performed way back in New York in 2014, I was being asked why so much of explanations and why narrations. Now, let me tell you one thing. My entire production is Lady Macbeth. Scenes are chosen, not the entire drama as written by Bard. I have chosen the scenes which can eulogize this character, this female character, as written by William Shakespeare. And hence, there are narration which connects from one scene to the other. So that's what I've made to ensure that the audience understand very well as from what scene to what scene we are progressing and what is happening. Secondly, enacting an Indian classical dance drama form, taking Western literature is again not very easy. I have been questioned by many people. They had come last in 2018 when I went to perform in Dry East and I performed Cleopatra. I was asked by certain people because they had certain things in mind and they had come to watch it, thinking that it will be the Shakespearean verses which will be recited and I will be dancing on it. But one should understand that when we are doing Indian classical dances, we have to change the language into an Indian language, be it especially the form. Like, for example, if you plan to do that in Bharatanatyam, let it be in Tamil or in Sanskrit. And again, Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. So I choose Sanskrit and ensured the songs are sung in the traditional Kathakali style of singing, and taking the ragas from the Carnatic idiom, because Carnatic idiom has a wide range of ragas. Like, for example, in this raga, in this scene, the sleepwalking scene, I've used the rag Madhyamavati to ensure the fear of Lady Macbeth is evoked. And also, it was not easy for me to choreograph because this was my first choreographic work on William Shakespeare's dramas. It took a lot of time for me. I actually worked. I went up and down. My guru was there in Kannur. I still remember, and I went up and down, back and forth to Kannur to sit with him, understand how the choreography be made, and ensure that the audience gets the maximum benefit when they see Lady Macbeth. And that's what happened. My so many ups and downs and back and forth, going to Kannur, coming back, sitting, working on it, going to Papad, where my musicians are, sitting with them, choreographing the music, composing the music, and then ultimately bringing out the best of out of the production for audiences to enjoy. And I still remember Karen Greenspan had very beautifully written in her magazine, in the magazine Banner Review, about this production. And therein lies my success, because when I first presented Macbeth in New York, I wanted to get my dance form across the audiences and the story that they knew, because it is very, especially when you perform abroad, like New York or California or any other places, because I have been touring widely all over US. If you give the audiences the story which is very near to their heart, they enjoy the dance form, and that's what happened. I could overcome the difficulties.
Well, thank you. And it was a great pleasure having you and speaking with you as well. Again, good luck to you.
I look forward to see you, Lena, soon.
Thank you.